আমরা শুরু করি। আজকে আমরা মেইনলি যেটা নিয়ে আলোচনা করব সেটা হলো ডিসিশন মেকিং। ওকে, আমরা ডিসিশন মেকিং প্রসিডিউর নিয়ে একটু আলোচনা করব। হোপফুলি সবাই শুনতে পাচ্ছিস, কোনো অসুবিধা নেই। শুনতে না পেলে বলবি।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
ওকে, সো আমরা একটু ডিসিশন মেকিং প্রসিডিউর গুলো নিয়ে একটু আলোচনা করব। হোয়াট ইজ ডিসিশন মেকিং, হোয়াট ইজ দ্য প্রসিডিউর, all these things we will discuss. It will hopefully it will be helpful. So basically you know that যদি আমরা বলি যে what is decision making, so basically it's a procedure, it's a process যেখান দিয়ে যার থ্রু দিয়ে আমরা দুটো বা তার বেশি যদি আমাদের কাছে অল্টারনেটিভস থাকে, so when we have to find out have to explore more than one available alternatives, then এরকম ধরনের একটা ডিসিশন মেকিং প্রসিডিউর জেনারেলি আমাদের সামনে উপস্থিত হয় এবং ডিসিশন মেকিং প্রসেস আমাদের সামনে আসে, যেখানে we have more than one options and we have to choose one of them. So that is basically decision making process, decision making procedure, whatever you can say. So that is written over here. A decision is the conclusion of a process by which one chooses between two or more available alternative courses of action for the purpose of attaining goals. Now the process is called decision making, and it's a managerial decision making basically, because here we are starting principle of management. So when we will call decision making, so it will be managerial decision making, obviously. So simply if we say it in very simple term, then decision making is a choosing of one particular option from more than one available options. That is basically decision making. And the thing is, এখানে যে obvious questions গুলো আসে basically সেটা হলো there are planning comes with decision making. Planning comes in management. Planning comes now. Planning it is involved with several questions actually, like what, when, how, where, whom. That means what the thing will be done, when it will be done, how it will be done, where it will be done, by whom it will be done, like that. So hence I can say planning, and basically it implies decision making, because if you look at all these questions, now what should be done, now there may be more than one option you have. Now when should be done, again there are more than one option you have maybe. Then how it will be done, so obviously there may be more than one procedure of the thing, of that particular thing. So how it will be done, now where it will be done, by whom it will be done. So all these things actually it basically coming to the decision making. Okay, so that is basically decision making, where we have to find out all these answers of these questions, like what should be done. We have to take have to choose somebody, or we have to choose what we have to choose what we will do. So we have to find out, we have to take one particular option. Now like that, when, how, when, where, and whom, like that. Okay, now according to R.C. Davis, we can say management is decision making process. R.C. Davis has told that management is nothing but the decision making process, because if you see basically in management you have to take lots of decisions. In management, if you see, you have to take lots of decisions. There are lots of decision making procedure will be there. And the second function of the management, you can say planning. The second function of the management, you can say planning. So management is firstly, you can say it's a decision making process, and the second function of the management will be planning. So if you see one cycle here, there is a two pictures given. Both are similar type of pictures actually. All these are showing you the different decision making processes, the steps actually. So the first process, if we see the first figures, it starts from assessment, which is nothing but analyzing the problem, which is given in the second picture. So defining and analyzing the problem, here we have given, here we have written in the first picture as assessment. Now in the first picture it is planning. Now in the second picture, if you see, it will be developing alternative solutions. So whenever we are developing alternative solutions, that means we are making some plans. Okay, and in the plan there may be there will be alternative solutions of it. Next, implementation. Now this implementation, it is coming with evaluation of the alternative solution and then selecting the best solution. So when we are evaluating our alternative solutions and we are selecting the best solution, so that is basically coming to the this kind of implement. Again here it is the implementation, the decision, implementing the decision. All these are coming under the implementation phase of the first picture. And finally follow up. Now that follow up is coming under monitoring and evaluation. So both pictures are equivalent actually. Decision making process, either you can write it as assessment, planning, implementation and monitoring and evaluation, or it in little more elaborate way you can say it is starting with defining and analyzing the problem, then developing alternative solution, and then evaluation the alternative solutions, then selecting the best solution, then finally implementing the decision, and finally the follow-up mechanism. So all these things are basically coming under decision making process. Okay, this is basically, you can say, the steps of the decision making process, right? Now there are basically several decision making approaches. Okay, there are basically several decision making approaches. Like some approach is known as rational approach, some is known as behavioral approach, some is known as practical approach, and some is known as personal approach. So there are several approaches of decision making, several approaches to decision making: rational, behavioral, practical, personal. The thing is, if you see the rational approach, the rational decision making process, it will be start with identifying the problem at first. Obviously any decision making process, it will be start with identifying the problem, because if you don't know the problem itself, then how you will solve it. So obviously identifying the problem is the first and foremost thing. Then establish decision criteria. Now that means, I mean, on what basis you are going to solve it. I mean, what is your jurisdiction, what is your limitation, what resources you have that you can use to solve the problem. I mean, you are taking a decision, but you don't know your limitation. I mean, suppose you have to find out a solution that how you will launch a new product. Now you don't know that your company policies, you cannot you cannot go for any pre-launch advertising session and all that. Suppose this is not in your organization's conduct book, but you are planning to do so. So that is not a thing that you cannot do. So you cannot go with your go beyond your company's policy. So obviously established decision criteria is very important. Next is weigh decision criteria. That means you have to, now suppose you have lots of alternatives. Okay, you have lots of alternatives, lots of alternative decision making. I mean, lots of alternative decisions you have. Now among them you have to choose one. So you have to vet it. I mean, you have to give a priority on it. I mean, you have to set the priority that, okay, this will be my first priority, that will be my second priority, and all that. So that is basically weighing decision criteria. Next is generating alternatives. Now you are generating the alternatives, you are evaluating the alternatives, and finally you are selecting the best alternative. So that is basically rational approach. Now rational means it is not biased. Rational means this approach is not biased to anything. It's a I mean, you can say very straightforward approach. So that is basically rational approach. Where the steps are this. Now that is one kind of decision making process. Next is now I will say one question from here actually. I mean, this is a I mean rational approach. Okay, this is a rational approach where we are identifying the problem, we are establishing the decision criteria, we are weighing the decision criteria. Weighing the decision criteria means, as I told you, that we are giving some stress on a particular criterias. We are setting some priorities on the criterias. Next is generating alternatives. We are generating the alternatives, and then is evaluating the alternatives, and finally we are selecting the best alternative. Okay. Now I will ask one question. I will tell you to solve this question. You can see it is in your screen. It is coming. Though it might be seems to you that it's not directly related to your management field, but still it will give you some idea. So the problem is, if you can see, the Gilberts have a large family with 12 children. Now they need to pick a new car that will serve everyone, including 4 teenagers. That means his family, under his family there are 4 teenagers who are driving age or approaching it. That means who are just going to get their license or like that. Now their criteria including safety, gas mileage, because you can take it as mileage, fuel mileage, any fuel that can be, fuel mileage, reliability of the car, and sitting for the 14%. Now obviously that will not a small car, it will be a big car. Obviously there will be a 14%. So whatever. Now they are following the rational decision making process. Now the rational decision making process, what I have just told you, so that they can have a family discussion without heated words. That means I mean they can reach a particular a decision that which car they should go for. Now what will be their next step? That means this is the situation. Now what will be their next step? That is the question. What will be their next step? Okay. So just try to answer this question. Just try to, I'm opening it for you.
At first,
Identify the problem.
identify the problem.
Just think it's a rational approach. It's a
the
rational.
need recognition.
I don't know. I mean, I will.
Sir, may I just try?
Yeah.
Sir, here the problem is that the family is too large. That is, they are having almost 14 people that can sit in a car. So the main and they have more pros. That is, they have 4 teenagers whose driving license, whose driving age is quite near, and then they need a good mileage with the safety and reliability. So with all these problems, I think the main problem is the car, that which car is to select. Because right now in the market,
No. You are going wrong direction, or you are going completely wrong direction. Just try it something else. I mean, just try to understand. I'm opening the rational decision making process for you. This is the rational decision making process. Now, here the steps are, just go through the steps: identifying the problem, establishing decision criteria, weighing the decision criteria, generating alternatives, evaluating alternatives, selecting the best alternative. So here the process. This is the process. Now this sequence they have to maintain. Now in this question, how far they come and what will be the next step? That is the thing what we have to find. If they are they have they are finding the problem. Are they identified the problem? If it is okay, then establishing decision criteria will be next one. If they are establishing the decision criteria, establish the decision criteria, then the next step will be weighing the decision criteria. In that way it will be okay. So this is the steps, and you have to find out from this question that how far they have come and what will be the next step. Now see it in that approach. Now tell me.
problems are identified because
Excuse me, sir.
Sir, I think they identify problem. So 3 with the criteria.
Who's saying that?
3, option 3. Already know their problem.
Sir, option 3 হবে স্যার অলরেডি যে প্রবলেমটা আছে এটা নোন আছে কি
স্যার ওরা তো প্রবলেমটা খুঁজে পেয়ে গেছে যে ওদের
স্যার প্রবলেম আইডেন্টিফাই হয়ে গেছে
অপশন 3 স্যার
weight the decision criteria পর স্যার আমাদের generate alternatives হবে তা option 3 হবে স্যার
Yeah, now you are going in the right direction. It will be option 3. It will be option 3. এক সেকেন্ড, আমি ক্লাস নিচ্ছি, আমি ক্লাসের পর থেকে ফোন করছি। হ্যাঁ ভাইয়া নিকেশ, স্যারকে ফোন করলেও পাবি, স্যারকে ফোন করলো। ভাইয়া কি হয়েছে? আচ্ছা কেন, কি হয়েছে?
Excuse me, sir. Am I audible?
1 minute, I'm in a call, okay? I'm just coming to you, okay? Padmanabh, please. একটু ওয়েট কর বাবা, আমার একটা ফোন এসছে, আমি একটু ওয়েট কর, আমি আছি, ওকে? একটু ওয়েট কর, আমি আমার তোদের নিচ্ছি, ওকে স্টুডেন্টস? ওকে
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay, sir.
হ্যাঁ সরি, তোদেরকে ওয়েট করলাম। ইয়েস, ইউ হ্যাভ ডান আ রাইট থিং, দ্যাট ইজ শোন, আমি পরেই ফোন করছি, ওদের সঙ্গে ওদের ওয়েট করাচ্ছি। হ্যাঁ 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 হ্যাঁ। So the thing is, weighting the decision criteria is the right thing, okay? Because if you see, at first we are identifying the problem, then we are establishing the decision criteria. This thing we have done because identifying the problem. What is the problem over here? Problem is they need a car which will satisfy their requirement, whatever requirement they have, which will satisfy their requirement, okay? And now the second thing is, second step is establish the decision criteria. Now what is the decision criteria? মানে কার বেসিসে ওরা ডিসিশনটা নেবে? Decision criteria means তোমার কোনটা foremost criteria জিনিসটাকে সিলেক্ট করছো, তোমার কি রং পছন্দ, তোমাকে পার্টিকুলার রং, যে আমি এই রঙের গাড়ি ছাড়া কিনবো না, বা আমি গাড়িটার মধ্যে আমার পাওয়ার স্টিয়ারিং থাকতে হবে, বা গাড়িটার মধ্যে আমার এবিএস থাকতে হবে, মানে এরকম ধরনের জিনিস আর কি, মানে হোয়াট ইজ দেয়ার ক্রাইটেরিয়া। তো এখানে ক্রাইটেরিয়া হচ্ছে, দেয়ার ক্রাইটেরিয়া পরিষ্কার দেখো লেখা আছে, ক্রাইটেরিয়া ইনক্লুড সেফটি, মাইলেজ, রিলায়েবিলিটি এন্ড অল দ্যাট। Okay, so obviously up to that they have done. So now they are following the rational decision making process, and your question is what will be the next step. So obviously the next step will be weighting the decision criteria. Weighting decision criteria মানে কোন ক্রাইটেরিয়াটাকে তারা কত ওয়েট দেবে, মানে সেফটিটাকে কত ওয়েট দেবে, ওয়েটেজ দেবে, মাইলেজটাকে কত ওয়েটেজ দেবে, রিলায়েবিলিটিকে কত ওয়েটেজ দেবে, সিটিং ক্যাপাসিটি অফ 14K কত ওয়েটেজ দেবে। So this is basically the thing is, okay, বুঝতে পেরেছো? This is basically the thing is, so that's why we are saying that here the options will be, that option will be third option. Okay, now এইটা কি মানে যারা অ্যানসার করেছো তারা বুঝে পড়েছো কি, মানে আমি যেটা কথা বললাম সেইভাবে ভেবেই তো করেছো নিশ্চয়ই, আশা করি, তাই তো?
Yes sir.
ওকে, আর যারা অ্যানসার করলে না তারা কি জিনিসটা বুঝতে পেরেছো কেন আমি বললাম যে থার্ড ক্রাইটেরিয়া উইল বি চোজেন? আশা করি তারা বুঝতে পেরেছো, মানে তাদের মানে কিছুতেই কথা বলানো যাচ্ছে না, একটা সেট অফ স্টুডেন্ট কিছুতেই কথা বলছে না, একটু কথাবার্তা বললে ভালো হয় আর কি, মানে আমরা তো কথা বলাটা খুব দরকার আমাদের, ঠিক আছে? যাই হোক, তো নেক্সট হচ্ছে behavioral approach, মানে there is another approach of decision making, second approach, that is behavioral approach. Now here the approach is not very tough, the approach is very simple. Here we are assuming decision makers operate with bounded rationality rather than with perfect rationality. What is the meaning of that? Bounded rationality and perfect rationality. Now bounded rationality means decision making based upon a meaningful subset of relevant information. মানে কি bounded rationality? মানে আমরা আমাদের যে অ্যাপ্রোচটা, সেই অ্যাপ্রোচটা স্ট্রেট ফরওয়ার্ড, সেই অ্যাপ্রোচটা কারোর উপর বায়াসড নয়, কিন্তু মানে সেই যে বায়াসনেসের যে ক্রাইটেরিয়াটা, সেই ক্রাইটেরিয়াটা ধরা যাক যে বায়াসনেসের ক্রাইটেরিয়া যদি 10 হয়, এখানে আমরা পুরো 10কে নিচ্ছি না, আমরা 5 বা 6 বা 7 অব্দি যাচ্ছি। ওকে, সো দ্যাট ইজ বেসিক্যালি বাউন্ডেড রেশনালিটি। বাউন্ডেড রেশনালিটি মিনস আমার একটা বাউন্ডারির মধ্যে আমি কাজ করছি, আমি রেশনাল বাট একটা বাউন্ডারির মধ্যে, তার বাইরে যাচ্ছি না। হয়তো দেখা যাবে তার বাইরে গেলে আমি রেশনাল রইলাম না, আমি হয়তো কিছুটা ইরেশনাল হয়ে গেলাম, বাট আমি সেই বাইরে যাচ্ছি না, আমি এর মধ্যেই থাকবো। তার মানে আমি বললাম, তুমি বলতে পারো ক্যারেক্টারিস্টিক্সটা দেখলে বেটার বুঝতে পারবে, সেটা হচ্ছে procedures and rules of thumb reduce uncertainty. This will reduce uncertainty. Sub-optimizing or optimize, and we are sub-optimizing it. That means accepting less than best outcome. আমরা যে বেস্ট আউটকামটা, আমরা সেইটা যে আমরা বেস্ট আউটকাম না পেলে আমি অ্যাকসেপ্ট করবো না, নো, হিয়ার ইট ইজ নট লাইক দ্যাট। মানে আমি বললাম যে ঠিক আছে, কোন মানে বাবাকে তার ছেলে মানে বাবা তার ছেলেকে বললো যে ঠিক আছে তুই 100 না পাস, 180 পেলেই হবে, তুই 180 পেয়ে দেখা। So that's the thing is actually, that is basically behavioral approach. That is basically the, I mean, sub-optimizing the thing. So I don't want the best outcome from you, I want less than best, but there should be a limit. There should be, obviously, তুমি যদি সেই বাবার কাছে যদি সেই ছেলে যদি 30 পেয়ে নিয়ে আসে, তো বাবা তো ছেলের পিঠে লাথি ভাঙতেই পারে, কিন্তু 180 পেলেই বাবা খুশি আর কি, ব্যাপারটা এইখানে। ওকে, so that's the thing, sub-optimizing, accepting less than the best outcome. Okay. Next is the satisficing. What is satisficing? Basically, the thing is, I mean, দেখো satisfaction ব্যাপারটা it is relative. Okay, satisfaction ব্যাপারটা সবসময় relative. তুমি যাতে satisfied, আরেকজন তাতে satisfied নাও হতে পারে, সেই ব্যাপারটা সবসময় relative. Okay, so here it is the thing, choosing first encountered alternative that solves the problem. That means, I mean, whatever problem, whatever first alternative you are getting, that is basically you are taking to solve the problem. So that is basically a satisfying kind of thing. So that is in this if you follow this approach to take your decision, so you will say that this will be a behavioral approach. Okay, we are basically decision makers. Most importantly, what you have to understand here is that we are basically decision makers will operate on a subset. I mean, they might not go for the best outcome, and they will be satisfied with the less than best outcome. Okay, but obviously there will be a limit. Obviously there will be a limit. ওই যে বললাম 180 ঠিক আছে, 100 বেস্ট, 80 পেলে ঠিক আছে, 30 পেলে কিন্তু অসুবিধা আছে। So thing is like that. Okay, so that is basically decision making process. Number 2, behavioral approach. Next is practical approach. Now, a practical approach, I don't think you have to make you understand about that. Basically, it's a combination. মানে practically তুমি যদি ভেবে দেখো, practically সবসময় আমরা rational হতে পারি না, practically সবসময় আমরা behavioral হতে পারি না. It depends on the situation. It depends. It varies case to case. So obviously, the combination of these approaches will give you a practical approach. It will be a practical decision making approach. That is practical approach. Okay, that is a decision making process, practical approach. Next is hybrid approaches. Now, hybrid approaches, again from the name you can understand that these are basically the thing is same. I mean, the mixture of all these approaches will give you the hybrid approaches. Okay, so that is basically decision making process number 3. And finally, personal approach. This is the decision making process number 4. Personal approach. Here, basically, individual decision making can be viewed as a process of conflict resolution. I mean, the thing is very important. Individual decision making can be viewed as a process of conflict resolution. Now, what is conflict resolution? Now, I am suppose taking some decision. I am suppose following some approach. You are suppose following some another approach, or suppose we are both in a same position and we are both trying to solve a particular problem. Now, to solving a particular problem, I mean, when we are going to solve a particular problem here, I'm getting some. I'm taking some decision in some approach. You are taking some decision in some approach. So that suppose, I mean, that suppose will be a question of confliction. I mean, maybe তুমি বলতে পারো যে what decision you are taking, I'm not agreed with that. I'm not agreed with that. But even in the same way, I can tell you that what is you are taking, what decision you are taking, what I mean, approach you are following. That is not. I'm not agreed with that. So there could be some confliction. So this is basically the personal approach. Personal approach এই ধরনের প্রবলেম আসতে পারে। Now, এখানে আমরা যেটা করতে পারি সেটা হচ্ছে conflict model characteristics যদি আমরা দেখি, which is given by Janice Mann, deals only with important decisions. And now, the thing is, the fear of making an unsound decision can be a deterrent to making any decision. Now, it provides for self reactions, and decision makers can be ambivalent, I mean, about alternatives. Okay, so basically, personal approach to basically personal approach. Personal approach to it can vary basically on person to person. Okay, the personal approach, some approach maybe you follow, some approach may I follow. I mean, this will vary. So that is basically decision making process, which is 4th one. That is personal approach. So all total we are getting 4 approaches. The first approach, again I'm telling you, first approach is the rational decision making process, which is most important in my opinion. And now the next one is behavioral approach, which where we are taking the subset of the bounded rationality. Next is decision making process. I mean the third approach is practical approach. Hybrid approach is another thing is coming, which is the mixture of this. And finally is personal approach. Okay, now all these approaches, I mean all these things, we can take it as the we can see it in different way, like decision making styles. What is I have told you approach, that approach, it will be you can modify it and you can tell that it's a decision making style. So decision making style and approach, basically both the things are same, sense is same, minor difference are there. So styles are something directive is first style, analytical is another type, conceptual is another type, and behavioral is another type. Now behavioral, you know, I have already discussed behavioral. Now what is directive? Directive means prefers simple and clear solution. It will make decisions rapidly. It will not consider many alternatives and rely on existing rules. So that is direct approach, directive approach, you can say. Okay. Next is analytical. In the analytical thing, obviously, from the name you can understand, analytical means here some analytical things will be there, some mathematical calculations, some models will be implemented on this. So prefer complex problems, carefully analyze alternatives, enjoy solving problems, willing to use innovative methods. Okay, most importantly here we will follow different kinds of models. Okay, mathematical models, you can say. So that is analytical approach. Next is conceptual thing. Conceptual thing is socially oriented. Conceptual, it will be socially oriented. It will be humanistic and artistic approach. Solve problems creatively and enjoy new ideas. So that is conceptual thing. Okay. So that is the conceptual style of decision making. Another is behavioral style of decision making. Concern for their organization. Those who are following the decision making style, which is behavioral, so they are concerned for. It is not like that. Who is following directive approach, analytical approach, they are not concerned for this. Concern for the organization. I'm not saying that, but in the behavioral approach, one of the characteristic is that concern for the organization. That means, they know better what is the strength and weakness of the organization, and according to that they will take the decision. Next is interest in helping others, open to suggestions, and rely on meetings. That is the behavioral approach style of decision making. So these are the some properties of decision making, types and properties of decision making styles. Okay. These are the main things basically. Another things what I will tell you about the decision making. I don't know how much time is left. Let us just check it. Yeah, so some time is there. We can. The thing is that the last thing is this. That is 7 steps to effective decision making. Again, I have already discussed, but these are the 7 steps. Like first is identifying the decision. Second one is gathering the information. What decision you are taking, you should have some information about that. Okay, so that gathering information, that what are the alternatives. Now suppose you are taking a decision that whether you should launch this new product from your organization or not. So to take that decision, you need to have some information, lots of information rather. You should have lots of information. Information about your competitors, information about your organization. You should know your strength, your weakness, your competitor's strength, competitor's weakness. So lots of information you should. Government policies, lots of other issues may come from the public, may come from the your surroundings, your environment, organizational environment. So gathering information is very important. Next is identifying the alternatives, what alternatives you have, and again rate the evidence. That is, again we are going in the same direction. This rational approach, what I have told you, weighing the evidence. That means you are putting the weightage, basically you are putting the weightage on your alternatives and like that. Next, choose among alternatives. Now the 6th one is taking the action, and finally review your decision. So these are the things. These are the 7 steps to effective decision making process. Okay. I have told you lots of things. Now we will expect some questions and all that. এখানে 3 মিনিট সময় বাকি আছে, বাকিটা আমরা নেক্সট সেশনে আলোচনা করব. If you have any doubt from this, you can say. এছাড়া আমরা নেক্সট সেশনেও বাকিটা আলোচনা করব, তো বলতে পারো, স্টার্ট করতে পারো যে যদি কারো কোনো ডাউট থাকে বা যা বললাম আমরা আজকে যেগুলো নিয়ে ডিসকাস করলাম, আমরা খুব কয়েকটা জিনিস নিয়ে ডিসকাস করলাম। তার মধ্যে আমরা যেটা ডিসকাস করলাম সেটা হচ্ছে হোয়াট ইজ ডিসিশন মেকিং। আমরা ডিসকাস করলাম the thing is বিশ্বজিৎ বলো।
স্যার বলছিলাম যে অ্যাপ্রোচ গুলো যেগুলো বললেন বা যে স্টাইল গুলো যেগুলো বললেন, তো আমার কোশ্চেন হচ্ছে এটাই, অল দ্য ডিসিশন মেকিং স্টাইলস অর অ্যাপ্রোচেস আর দ্য বাউন্ডেড বাই দ্য টাইম।
Obviously, good question, but obviously, it's a simple thing. Time, যদি তোমার ডিসিশন মেকিং প্রসেসে টাইম বাইন্ড না হতো তাহলে বোধহয় আমাদের জিনিসটা গুরুত্বই হারিয়ে যেত, ডিসিশনের গুরুত্বই হারিয়ে যেত। অবভিয়াসলি তোমাকে ঠিক টাইমের মধ্যে ঠিক ডিসিশন নিতে হবে, সেই জন্যই ডিসিশন মেকিং এর গুরুত্ব। ওকে, so obvious. Okay, any more question, please ask anybody of you.
হ্যালো স্যার।
হ্যাঁ বলো।
স্যার বলছিলাম যে এই যে যে 7টা স্টেপ ছিল যে কি বলে ডিসিশন মেকিং এর, স্যার এখন কোন স্টেপটা সবথেকে বেশি ডিফিকাল্ট, step 1 or the middle step?
Choosing the alternative. Always difficult is choosing the alternative, and that is decision making. Okay, always difficult is choosing among alternatives, because sometimes it comes all are close calls. you cannot take decision. You cannot decide that what option you should take. All are very close. Okay. খুব মাইনিউট ডিফারেন্স আছে, বাট মানে তুমি জানো না খুব আনসার্টেন, তার সঙ্গে কি আসে আনসার্টেনটি। ডিসিশন মেকিং এর সঙ্গে আরেকটা জিনিস যেটা খুব ওতপ্রোতভাবে জড়িত, দ্যাট ইজ আনসার্টেনটি। আই মিন ইউ ক্যান সে যে স্যার সবকিছুর সঙ্গে আনসার্টেনটি জড়িয়ে, দ্যাট ইজ ওকে, বাট মানে তুমি যখন একটা তোমার কোম্পানি হয়ে অর্গানাইজেশন হয়ে একটা ডিসিশন নিচ্ছ, সেইটা যদি হিট করে তো ইউ উইল বি হিরো, আর এটা যদি ফ্লপ করে তো ইউ উইল বি দ্য সোল রেসপন্সিবল পারসন। তো এটাই তো হয় বেসিক্যালি। So choosing among alternative is the most important and most difficult thing, in my opinion. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
হ্যালো স্যার,
হ্যাঁ বলো।
সে বলছি আমরা যেটা স্টাইলটা পড়লাম মানে ডিসিশন মেকিং স্টাইল গুলো, ওরা কি সিকোয়েন্স ওয়াইজে রাখা ছিল না?
না 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 না, মানে any style you can take. Okay, any style you can take. These are the
my question is that how much behavioral concept is important in decision making?
Again, good question.
How much important
huh.
behavioral style is for taking decision?
Yeah, behavioral style is very important, I think. I mean, first of all,
স্যার একটা লাইন আমি ইউজ করছি স্যার, সরি।
বলো বলো।
তো বলছি যখন আমরা কোনো একটা প্রোডাক্ট তৈরি